Hello viewers, I decided to try something different from the usual Canadian inflation and GDP videos. In this video, I am going to share some data regarding the impact of measures to combat COVID-19 on GDP growth around the world. Let's start by looking at country-wise GDP growth data from IMF prior to COVID-19. Here you are seeing countries color-coded based on their real GDP growth in 2019. A look at the legend explains that dark green signifies real GDP growth of 6% or more, and it scales down to red, which signifies real GDP growth of less than -3%. By examining data from 1980 to 2020, you'll notice that most of the map is usually green, roughly similar to 2019, the one you're seeing right now, as some countries have good years while some have bad years. Now, the reason why I decided to make this video is to show you what's happened in 2020. It is astounding to see so much red. This seems to me by far the greatest recession experienced in recent decades. Don't believe me? Let's look at similar data for past recessions. Here you're seeing country-wise real GDP growth depiction for the year 2009, the global financial crisis. Evidently, it wasn't as bad as 2020, not seeing a whole lot of red. Let's go further back to 1991. It seems that this recession wasn't as bad as the one witnessed in 2009. We're seeing more green. Let's go back one last time to 1982. This recession seems more or less similar to the one we just saw in 1991. By examining data from 1980 to 2020, the years 1982, 1991, 2009, and 2020 stood out. The rest were mostly green, with some countries exhibiting downturns for various reasons. Upon realizing this, I wanted to know which countries were the best and worst performers in 2020 in terms of real GDP growth. I'm going to now share those results with you, starting with the worst performers. You are now seeing the 10 worst performers in ascending order. Now, there are countries with small GDPs which didn't tell me much, so I decided to consider only those countries whose GDP going into 2020 was at least 0.1% of world GDP. After filtering the data this way, I started to see a lot more. For instance, now you'll see that $3 trillion economies ended up in the adjusted top 10 worst performers, namely Spain, Italy, and India. Now let's turn to the best performers. You're seeing the top 10 best performers in descending order. Again, there are countries with small GDPs, so let's glance at the adjusted top 10 best performers. I use the same filter as with the 10 worst performers. The economy should be at least 0.1% of world GDP going into 2020. Notably, China is the only trillion-dollar economy to make the list, and it's a big one. You can always pause the video to examine the maps, charts, and data if you feel that I'm going too fast. Now, seeing this data raised further questions in my head, so I'm sure you must have a lot of questions of your own. You can always visit the IMF website like I did, or post your thoughts, questions, comments, and feedback down below. I'll try my best to answer. If you like this video, then don't forget to leave a thumbs up. I'll try to upload more special videos from time to time, so you can subscribe to get notified when I do. Thank you for watching. That's all for now. Until next time.